Hi students, this is Miss Anderson and welcome to another workshop video in our series of proofreading. So we are learning how to make our writing much better by doing the practice, the skill, the art of proofreading. And so what we do when we proofread, we are looking for ways to revise and edit and make our writing better, okay? So this is video number 6 in the series. So I would suggest, if you can, to please go back, make sure you have watched the first 5 videos, okay? Because this video is going to take into consideration that you have already watched and have the information from those first 5 videos. I'm sorry, I think I said 6, but those first 5 videos, okay? And then for my virtual students, I have a link on the screen here, misd.net, where you can go and get the document that I will be using to teach this lesson, okay? So you want to go to that link. It is a PDF. Save it to your computer, and now you can annotate it, you can highlight it, you can even print it out if you like, okay? And so for my students in the classroom, please annotate your copy that you have, and let's go ahead and get started, okay? So we are learning the importance of proofreading, revising, and editing after we have written our draft, okay? So let me just briefly go through the writing process just to make sure that we are all on the same page. So this tutorial and this lesson is for step 3 in the writing process. So the first step in the writing process, to make a plan, to do your pre-writing, to do your brainstorming. After you have done that, then you write your ideas down on your first draft, okay? And so once you have your first draft done, that is when now it's time for you to go back and apply the skill of proofreading, okay? And remember, you have to do this again and again and again and again in order for it to become a habit, and in order for you to get very skilled at finding errors, okay? And that's the objective, guys, is for you to find that needle in a haystack that messes up your writing in order to make it better, okay? All right, so we are at step 3, which is revising, okay? So let me go ahead and pull up the PDF. This is the document that we are using, and so if you're in class, you have it paper, and if you are online or virtual, then you have the PDF on your laptop, okay? But you want to use this as I go through it, so that, I mean, you can watch it from the video alone and then go back to your copy. That's totally fine. So whatever way is easiest for you, okay? And the reason why I'm speaking kind of quickly is because I know I have a lot of information. You know how I love to talk, and I want to keep these videos of at least 30 minutes, okay? So I don't know how far I'm going to get, because this is my first recording of this lesson right here. So, but I do plan to keep it under 30 minutes, okay? So feel free to pause the video whenever you need, take a break, you know, come back to it and continue it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So this is lesson number 3, okay? We've had lesson number 1 and lesson number 2, and now we are on lesson number 3 of our proofreading workshop, okay? So the name of this lesson is Avoiding Awkward Sentences, okay? And so that is a skill that you have to get better at, okay? As teenagers, you are writing based upon how you speak, okay? So we have to move you from changing and revising your writing so that it does not sound the way you speak, okay? Because if you read, a lot of times reading is much more formal than it is speaking, okay? And so you have to, first you have to be able to get your ideas down, so you write like you speak, and that's totally fine, okay? But now to elevate your writing, to increase it, to make your writing better, now we have to know how to be able to spot those awkward things in sentences that that bring your writing down, okay? So that's what this lesson is going to focus on. So let's look at the summary here, okay? This lesson deals with identifying and revising awkward sentences. When sentences are so long that they are hard to follow, or so short that they sound choppy, they need thorough revision. Thorough means it's iterative. Iterative means you have to do it again and again until it sounds right. So it's not a one-time thing, okay? It could possibly take one revision, but you might have to read that sentence over and over and over in order to find the right fit, okay? That's what thorough revision means, okay? Careful and skillful revising techniques will give a piece of writing a natural rhythm and flow. And that's what your goal is, okay? Your goal is to get so skilled at proofreading and revising that your writing has a natural rhythm and flow. And you'll know that, okay? You will know that because when you read your writing aloud, you'll go through it just like a piece of music, you know, a piece of art. All right. Too often, writers use poorly chosen, inappropriate, or unnecessary language that can confuse a reader. Yes, this is very true. Like a carpenter who has a tool for every task, writers should have words in their writer's toolbox that fit every task. Selecting the words and the order in which they appear takes practice. That's why we write every day. In this chapter, you will learn strategies for revising sentences that are awkward, carry on too long, or are too short and choppy. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Ooh, I'm just clapping my hands in excitement. All right, words that have little or no meaning. When we write, we sometimes take on the same habits we have when we speak. True, just said that. Words or phrases that have little or no meaning fill space when we talk, but have limited use in writing. Okay, so there's a purpose for those words when we speak, but not when we're writing, because when we write, we want clarity. Okay, words such as kind of, actually, in particular, really, really, certain, various, virtually, I use that one, individual, basically, generally, given, and practically. And what I want to add is like, okay? Like, man, this is cool. Like, okay? These words give our brains a chance to collect our thoughts when speaking. However, when writing, we should have our thoughts already collected because this helps convey ideas more efficiently, okay? Remember, clarity is the name of the game. You want your sentences at all times to be clear. All right, so let's look at some examples here. Procrastination, I'm at this example right here. Procrastination actually makes certain people really unsuccessful more than virtually any other particular habit. That's a lot of words, okay? And look at the edited example. Procrastination makes people unsuccessful more than any other habit. Nice and clean, okay? So take a moment and look at all the words, all the unnecessary words that are in that sentence and how it's edited down to a sentence that is clear and possibly true, okay? So now if you're writing a persuasive piece, because you've taken out all of that unnecessary stuff, you might actually get agreement with your sentence. Okay, let's look at another one. I am of the opinion that we should not prohibit children from talking in the hallways entirely and completely. Well, whoever thought we could do that anyway, you know? But let's look at, so entirely and completely, okay. Let's look at the revised example. We should allow children to talk in the hallways on occasion, okay? So I would even revise that to say we should allow children to talk in the hallways as long as they keep their voices low, okay? Why would you want to prohibit kids from talking in the hallway? I mean, in the elementary schools, they do that. Remember in the elementary school, you had to walk in a single file, okay? But in a middle school and high school, I don't even think you can do that, you know? Let's keep going. But did you see the example of the unnecessary words? Take a moment, pause the video, look at both of those sentences, the example and the revise, and see what you want to do now is when you're writing and you're going back and proofreading, look for those unnecessary words and revise it to make it clear, okay? So those are unnecessary words, words that just don't have to be there, okay? All right, the next way we can improve our writing is redundancy, okay? Redundancy is meaning having two of the same thoughts in one sentence unnecessarily, okay? Often, writing assignments require a minimum number of words, and that's true in upper level classes. Not a minimum number means that, okay, write an essay and you must have at least 3,000 words, okay? Microsoft Word has a word count, okay? And a lot of times that's what students have to do. They have to meet a minimum word count, okay? But we don't, all right, in our class. And so therefore, we're going to revise and we're going to look for clarity in our writing, okay? Excuse me. Because of this, it is tempting to use several words of description instead of one well-chosen word with the same meaning, okay? This redundancy, however, makes sentences awkward and interrupts the flow to a piece of writing. Remember, all about that rhythm and flow. To write effectively, you must eliminate words that simply rephrase other words for no purpose. So if it has no purpose and it's redundant, meaning it's repeating, remove it, okay? All right, so let's look at an example here, all right? The football team made future plans to completely concentrate on the basic fundamentals of each individual position. So as you can see, we have some italicized words here that probably are redundant. The football team made future plans. Well, let's look here. Plans are always in the future, okay? You can't you can't plan for the past, all right? So that's redundant, meaning you don't need to say future, okay? Concentrating implies complete focus. Fundamental means basic, and positions are individuals. Therefore, the italicized words are unnecessary. Okay, so let's look at it. The football team made plans to concentrate. If you're going to concentrate, you're already doing that completely. So completely, we don't need that. On the basic fundamentals. Well, fundamentals are the basics. So you don't need to describe fundamentals because we know what it is, okay? Of each individual position. And again, position is individual, okay? The football team made plans to concentrate on the fundamentals of each position. Oh my God, that sounds so much better, okay? That's what you got to look for in your writing. This is a skill, ladies and gentlemen. You're learning a lifelong skill, but you have to start applying it now, okay? Applying, looking for redundancy. All right, so let's go back up here to the top, and there's our edited example. The football team made plans to concentrate on the fundamentals of each position. All right, let's look at some other common redundancies. Include whole, entire, big, fat, complete truth, terrible, tragedy, a tragedy is terrible, pitch black, black is already a pitch, various, different, true facts, free gift, and final outcome. My challenge to you is to notice when you come across this writing, okay? You're not going to find it in books, professional writing, but you may find it if you're peer reviewing a peer's essay or something like that. You may find it in professional writing, but just take note of where you find redundancy, okay? Because it is out there, all right? Words also imply categories, so you can often eliminate a word that names a category. For example, the dinosaurs were green colored. The dinosaurs that were green colored were few in number during that period in history. Here's the edited example. I'm sorry. As an English teacher, this tickles me, you know. There were few green dinosaurs during that period. So look what we took out. Okay, we took out colored because green is a color. So if we say they're green, we're saying they're colored, okay? Were few in number, okay? Well, okay, we said that there were few. We don't have to say in number because a few designates that it is a number. And then during that time period in history, okay? Well, a period in history, we don't need in history. It's just during that period, okay? There were a few green dinosaurs during that period. Periods such as the one in the sentence are always periods in history. So that's redundant, okay? And so this is something that you're going to grow into, okay? It's not something that you're going to be able to see immediately, okay? But as your eye gets better and better and sharper and finding these details, it will get much easier, okay? All right, so we did unnecessary words and we did redundant words, okay? So let's look at another example. These doubled words occur in phrases, and sometimes these phrases are cliches, okay? A cliche is something like an old saying or expression or something that's unnecessary to be said. Here's an example. I hope you give this matter your full and complete attention. Here's the edited example. I hope you give this matter your complete attention. You don't need full and complete, because if I have your complete attention, then I have your full attention. So that's what they mean by double words, okay? Your full and complete, okay? Let's continue. Sorry, I feel like I have something stuck in my throat. Sorry about that. All right, looking at the time, we are about 16 minutes in. Some common double word phrases are pick and choose, full and complete, hope and trust, any and all. I've seen that. True and accurate, each and every. Oh my goodness, I've seen all of these. Basic and fundamental, hopes and desires, first and foremost. Oh, I've seen that one a lot. First and foremost, no, it's just first or foremost, okay? Often it works best to eliminate both words, but occasionally eliminating one of the two words work best. Absolutely true. All right, so let's look at some negatives, okay? Changing negatives to affirmatives also eliminate extra words. Look for sentences that use not and see if you can rewrite the sentence to make it affirmative. Okay, let's look at the example. Here's a negative sentence. She wore a sweater that was not different than mine. I'm so sorry for laughing, but when a sentence doesn't sound right, it's funny to me, okay? I hope it's funny to you, and I hope that, all right, let's move on, okay? The edited example, I'm very sorry. I truly hope I don't offend anyone by giggling, but it's the sentence. Grammar is something that you can hear when it's incorrect, okay? And so I hope that you're giggling right along with me. All right, so here's the edited sentence, okay? Taking out the not, making the sentence affirmative instead of negative. She wore the same sweater as mine, okay? So as opposed to saying what she didn't or what that was not different than mine, okay? Change the sentence to affirmative, okay? And I want to go out on a limb and say most of your sentences should be in the affirmative, okay? Double negatives make your writing sound more confusing. Yes, some words are negative by definition, such as the verbs preclude, exclude, fail, reject, avoid, deny, prohibit, and refuse, and such prepositions as against or without. So those are negative in their meaning. So when you use a negative, you can use a verb that already denotes negativity. Using a combination of these negative words will make your point very difficult to understand. Combination meaning don't use not and prohibit, okay? Don't use not and refuse in the same sentence, okay? All right, so let's look at some example double negatives here. Without failing to refuse, denying an invitation, you have not avoided precluding buying a gift. I don't even understand what that means. Without failing to refuse, denying an invitation, wow, you have not avoided. So just because you didn't respond to an invitation, you still have to buy a gift. Maybe you don't know, when you get an invitation to a birthday party, or any type of party, wedding party, baby shower, it's common cultural practice to take a gift, okay? And so what that sentence is saying is that, let's look at the edited example. By accepting an invitation, you have agreed to buy a gift, okay? So I was saying kind of the opposite, but I can see now what the sentence is trying to say, all right? I was thinking that just because you weren't going to go to the party or weren't accepting the invitation, you still had to buy a gift, okay? But this is saying by accepting an invitation, you have agreed to buy a gift. And that is true. When you accept someone's invitation, you always take a gift, okay? All right. Okay, so we have gotten to the exercises, okay? Now, so here's where I stop, okay? Because I've gone over the examples with you, and now it's up to you to do the exercises, okay? I want you to do the exercises yourself. It says, edit the following wordy sentences by eliminating words that have little or no meaning, okay? That's the first thing you're looking for. Words that are repetitive, okay, or redundant, okay, repetitive and redundant are redundant, meaning they are the same. Okay, I tried to make a little joke there. Words implied by other words, okay, and or words or by changing negatives to affirmatives, okay? All right, so let's take a look at one of these sentences. Let's look at number one. I'll do number one. Actually, a basic and fundamental part of cooking is making sure you do not have the wrong ingredients. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that one's easy. Well, not easy, but hopefully you can figure out what. Okay, edit, add text. Okay, a basic, and you can use basic or fundamental, part of cooking is making sure you have all the ingredients. Okay? Oh, did I spell ingredients wrong? Okay. Spell check. Spell check. Powerful thing. Spell check it is. All right. A basic part of cooking is making sure you have all the ingredients, okay? And so once you finish all 5 of those sentences, okay, where did they go? There they are. Then check them at the end of the page, okay? I'm not going to check it now because I want you to complete all 5 of those 6, all 6 of those sentences before you check them, okay? So let's finish the entire lesson and then you can go back and check them, okay? All right, so we're moving on. The next one called qualifiers. Qualifiers, all right? I am 22 minutes in. The best writing requires confidence. Yes, that's true. Starting sentences with phrases such as I feel, I think, I believe, in my opinion, or I am of the opinion can dilute what you have to say. Instead of using qualifying phrases like those, say exactly what you mean. Okay, all right, let's see. This is great for argumentative, for persuasive, and for informative essays. All right, so here's a sentence with a qualifier. I believe that homework should be eliminated. And that's the way you talk now, okay? In my opinion, homework, because that's the way, remember when we've done speaking activities in class, okay? You were taught to speak like that, okay? And it's okay to use it in speech. But when is it not okay? When you are writing, okay? Remember, I believe that homework should be eliminated. Absolutely nothing wrong with that sentence if you are speaking that sentence. However, when you write, you have to revise for clarity, okay? Homework should be eliminated. That's correct. Because who believes homework should be eliminated? I do. So you already know that it's coming from me. So I don't need to have a qualifier. I don't need to state my case. That's what lack of confidence is when you have to say, I believe, okay? So that's what a sentence looks like with a qualifier and without a qualifier. All right, let's look at the next one. I am of the opinion that bungee jumping should be an Olympic sport. I am here in Atlanta, Georgia. In Atlanta, we have a park called Six Flags over Georgia, okay? And at Six Flags, you can bungee jump there, okay? And it always amazes me, the people that have the courage to do that, okay? To get in this in these cables or cords or whatever you want to say that wrap around you, and be suspended in the air to just drop to the ground, hoping that nothing goes wrong and this bungee snaps back. You know what I mean? And there's a ride called the Free Fall at Six Flags. I just do not see how plunging to the earth is actually fun. I don't get that. Okay, help me understand that, because that is not my idea of fun. All right, but it should be an Olympic sport, because if you survive, you should be a gold medal winner. All right, here we go. Without the qualifier, bungee jumping should be an Olympic sport. Nice and clear. With unnecessary qualifiers, your writing takes on a more confident tone. That is correct. You should also be careful not to overuse words such as very, and I'm guilty of that. Pretty, quite, rather, clearly, obviously. I'm guilty of that one too. Certainly, always, of course, indeed. Oh, indeed. Pretty much every email I will send has indeed. I just like the sound of that word, indeed. Inevitably and invariably. These words can be useful in helping you make your point, as in a debate or something like that. But if you are using powerful language to begin with, you may find that they are cluttering up your sentences rather than strengthening them. So we're going to revise those out when we do our persuasive and our argumentative essay, okay? Let's look at this example. The cheese clearly overpowered the pasta and, of course, made the dish rather difficult to eat. Well, we can already begin to see what's going to come out there. The cheese overpowered the pasta, not obviously, it overpowered the pasta and made the dish difficult to eat. Not of course, okay? It made the dish difficult to eat. All right, there's exercise number 2. Locate the unnecessary qualifiers in the sentence. So you're training your eye to look for these things. Not only are you looking for that, you're going to avoid this when you are writing as well, okay? Because remember, the revisions process starts while you are writing your draft. Remember lesson 1, when you revise as you go. So you're not looking for these to be just when you go back through your writing. You're looking to avoid these when you write to begin with, okay? All right, so you have exercise 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, let's go to the vocabulary. There is no substitute for an extensive vocabulary. The more words you know, the more able you are to replace whole phrases with one accurate word. That is very true. Increase your vocabulary and you make your writing more powerful. Oh, yes. Start by keeping a list of words that you do not know. List their definitions and use them in your everyday life. Using context clues can also help you increase your vocabulary. Let me go back to that vocabulary strategy. We haven't done it in class, but years ago, I used to have my students using a graphic organizer make flashcards of vocabulary words, okay? It is how I learn vocabulary, and it is a tried and tested art, or a good way to learn vocabulary, okay? So if you are able to do that in your composition book, just when you come across a new word, write it down and then look it up and write the definition down, okay? That you can go back to those words, okay? And you can use those words in your writing, because that's what's going to strengthen your writing, is by using vocabulary words that you've learned that, can be more powerful, that can add to your writing, okay? So there's a lot to be said for adding vocabulary to your vocabulary. You like that? All right, using context clues can also help you increase your vocabulary. When you see a word that you do not know, examine the words that surround it to see if you can discover the meaning. That's what context clues is. Often a word can be deciphered by examining the clues other words give. Okay, we call that being a word detective. Understanding word parts will help you understand words you do not know as well. Prefixes and suffixes have meanings that can change the definition of a word or its word part, or part of speech, sorry. Greek and Latin roots appear often in English. Yes, English language has lots of root words, okay? And the more root words you are familiar with, the more words you can figure out in your reading and use in your writing. Absolutely true. A thesaurus can help you find words to use, but like spell check or grammar check, it can change your piece in ways you may not realize. And we're going to talk about having a thesaurus and using those word checks and things like that, because that's a great way to build your vocabulary. Let's see. Your voice can become inconsistent, or you can use words incorrectly. Not all words offered in a thesaurus are exact synonyms. That's correct. So you still have to know what words mean in order to try to use the words interchangeably, because if you just look up a word and change it out for a word, you may change the meaning entirely of your sentence. For example, if your piece repeats the word freedom too often and you use a thesaurus to find a word to replace it, you would find liberty. This would work if your sentence says, our founding fathers fought for liberty, or freedom. Freedom and liberty do not mean exactly the same thing, but fought for liberty is probably close enough. In the thesaurus under freedom, you would also find looseness, which could possibly replace freedom if your sentence is discussing a piece of clothing. So what that means is you have to make sure you're choosing the best word that fits the meaning of your sentence. However, our founding fathers did not fight for looseness. This is an extreme example, but it illustrates the point that not all words in the thesaurus will work in all conditions or in all situations. A thesaurus does not help you replace phrases either, which is important when you are trying to shorten sentences. Some common phrases can be shortened. In the event that becomes if, concerning the matter of becomes about, are in a position becomes can, the reason for becomes why, and because of the fact becomes because. So now if you are writing in Microsoft Word will do that grammar check for you, okay? And when you right click and they give you the suggestion, they'll tell you if this is how it's being revised. They'll say conciseness, clarity, grammar, okay? Start looking at how those changes that are being made, okay? All right, so let's look at some examples. Hang on one second. I'm going to pause the video one moment, guys. And I'm back. Okay, let's look at the example here. In the event that every union member decides to vote, we will have a huge turnout. Now let's look at the edited example. If every union member decides to vote, we will have a huge turnout. So we replace the in the event that, okay? We don't need that. If every union member decides to vote, we will have a huge turnout. So try to find the clearest way to write by eliminating unnecessary words from your sentences. Make sure, however, that you do not end up with a series of short and choppy sentences. And that's what we're going to take a look at next, okay? So I'm going to stop this video, okay? This is going to be video number 1, okay, of lesson number 3, all right? And I'll start the next video. Happy proofreading, guys. Thank you. Bye.